need. The returnable kits are all the functional parts, the motors, the servos, the controllers, the joystick, all of that stuff. That costs us around $800 to provide to you, okay? This is very critical. We need those kits to be returned in the same condition in which they were received. Over the years, we've had a problem with that. We don't get them back. Here's what happens. We get parts that have been modified. We get returnable kits that have been modified. I had something to show you, and I forgot to pull it out. I'm not going to get it. So the returnable kits cannot be modified. I can't emphasize that enough. And in fact, if you modify a returnable part and you put it on your robot, you will not be able to compete. Because it's not just our rule, we don't want you to modify them, it is a best game rule. You cannot modify a returnable part. Don't take it right with a pulley, drill a hole in it, put a screw, and make it a driven pulley. Okay? Don't go soldering things onto the motor. Don't go cutting belts. Don't go cutting the continuous belt. There is one long, straight belt, that you can cut. You can cut the long straight belt, and the servo horns you can cut. Those are the only two returnable parts you can do any modification to. Do not modify any other parts. Failed parts. We understand parts will fail. Okay? We do understand parts will fail. We're asking you, when you get your kits, we're asking you to go through and run test all of the parts. Set them out on the table, connect them up, and functionally check them out and make sure everything is running fine. We have checked them out. We are 100% confident that what we're giving you will work, but we want you to check them out also. If you need to replace any parts within the first couple of weeks, we do so without any question. Okay? But after 2 weeks, we need to understand from you why the part has failed. Because here's the reality. We know you're not misusing it on purpose. We know that. We know that you are doing everything you can to respect these parts and to use them as intended, but we also know that sometimes they can be misapplied, and you don't realize they've been misapplied. So when you ask for a part to be replaced, we're going to ask you what happened. How did you use it? What were you doing? How did you connect it? And the reason is not because we want to criticize you for it failing. We don't want to have to replace the replacement part. We don't want you to take the one we just gave you, put it back in the same thing, and have it fail again. Okay? So please understand that when we question you about why a part failed, it's not that we're criticizing you, it's that we're trying to teach you and help you learn about how to use these parts and how to apply them properly, and we don't want to replace the replacement part a second time. We will. We will never charge you for a replacement part. We will never charge you, and don't ever hesitate to ask for a replacement part, but we want to help you learn how to use it. Critical design review. This was introduced during COVID. It was sorted to replace the team exhibit. It was a competition. Originally, we judged and we gave awards. We determined that this really is not a good event for a competition. It comes about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the season, and it's a bit of a disruption if you're trying to prepare to earn an award. However, we think it has some value to you. So, we are still offering the critical design review, but we're offering it in a way that is a benefit to you, okay? You don't have to prepare a formal presentation. You don't have to prepare PowerPoint. You don't have to prepare that. What we want you to do is join us on a Zoom call and share with us what you're doing. Talk about your robot design, talk about what you're doing, how far you've gotten, and give us a chance to review that with you and offer you some feedback about where you are and maybe some suggestions to help you finish out the season successfully. You can have nothing more than a few photographs that you share on the screen. You can have something with you and just point the camera to it. Very informal. It's more about helping us, a panel of experienced engineers and people that have done this, to interact with you and help give you some guidance and some feedback. Practice days can be a little different this year. The game field is set up in Fields Engineering Center in the lobby, and it will be available to you throughout the entire 8 weeks. Now, we've got some logistics still to work through. Because it's in the lobby, it is public access, but the doors to the building will lock, I think, about 8 o'clock in the evening on weekdays, and they're locked on the weekends. Dr. Rojas and I are trying to figure out a way to work around that, to give you easy access to use that field when you want to come over and practice on it. The only part of the field that won't be in the lobby is the Hoberman sphere. It's the Hoberman sphere. It's simply the central device. And the reason is it's a very complicated item. We don't want to leave it out. We're afraid it might get damaged by not necessarily you, but other people walking through the lobby during the 8 weeks. During the final 2 weeks before the game, we will make that Hoberman sphere available to you on a scheduled basis. We will put in team workflow an opportunity for you to sign up for a time slot. When you sign up for a time slot, we will make sure that there is a student worker, one of us, available to go pull the Hoberman sphere out, place it in the lobby, make it available to you for the time you want to practice with it, and then after you leave, we will put it back for safekeeping. More information on that will come. But again, the rest of the field is available all 8 weeks, and the Hoberman sphere will be available those final 2 weeks. And I think on what is traditionally the practice day will become a day where we have 1 hour time slots for the team to come in and use the field and the Hoberman sphere. More details to come. We do a lot of submissions through the registry. On Tuesday before game day, you will have your engineering notebook. If you compete in the website challenge, you'll submit your website information. If you compete in the video challenge, you'll submit that. And we ask the students to submit their teacher and mentor of the year nominations. By Friday before game day, we need your driver schedule. And students, we really need you to do the post-season survey for us on the National Registry. Best depends on financial support from companies. Companies want to see the impact that this program has on you. And the only way we have of sharing that information with people like Nissan and with our corporate sponsors at the national level is to show them the data, to show them the results of the survey you fill out. Okay? These companies that are supporting us want to know if participating in this program has gotten you interested in science and engineering and technology. And it's okay if it hasn't. You can say no on the survey. We want you to be honest. But your filling out the survey helps us to continue. You might not realize it helps us continue to get funding to continue the program. So please do the survey. And we need you to do that so that you can participate in the robot competition. Marketing presentations will be on Friday evening, as have been done before in the Fields Engineering Center. Time slots will be on team workflow, and you will sign up for that. In red, I wrote, bring your presentation on a thumb drive. Please do not show up on Friday evening and plan to connect to a Google Drive or a OneDrive or somewhere in the cloud. You will not have internet access when you are in the room doing the presentation. Okay? Please bring it on a thumb drive, and in fact, bring it on 2 thumb drives in case one is corrupt. And I'll tell you the other thing is, a lot of teams will do, and I highly recommend it, make a couple of copies, print out copies of your presentation, because if really everything collapses, you can hand out a paper copy to the judges, and they can follow along with the paper copy. Big change this year. Big change this year. Team exhibits are going to be shallow. There will only be 4 feet deep. And for those of you that are as old as I am, very few people in here are as old as I am. For those of you that have been around for a while, you know the team exhibit started at 10 feet. Go on in, grab a seat. Team exhibit started at 10 by 10. And then about 10 years ago, they dropped to 8 by 8. And this year it's 4 by 8. It's going to be more of a display, I think, than a walk-in exhibit. But please be aware, the new size for the exhibit is 4 feet by 8 feet by 8 feet tall. So I mentioned to you, I've already talked about this. Game day will begin later. It might end as late as 7 or 8. Again, you can arrive early to set up your exhibits, and we will give you an agenda as soon as we can. Compliance. We announced last year, we accomplished it last year. We had a more rigorous compliance check last year. And I mentioned last year, the reason is I actually do compliance at South Best. And the people that work compliance at South Best know this program, know the rules inside and out. And the compliance check at South Best is very rigorous. We have started to get to the point that some of our teams have been actually failing compliance at South Best because we didn't catch things here locally. So we are continuing to make our compliance more robust to help you with that, we will be sharing with you all of the same information we're giving our compliance judges. So you will know what we're looking for, and this way you can make sure that your robot is compliant. Matches haven't changed much. They're still 3 minutes long. There will still be 4 teams on the field, and each team will compete in 7 seeding matches. One thing that's different this year is we only have 8 teams signed up this year. And when you only have 8 teams, and you normally have 8 teams go from seeding to the semifinal, semifinals don't make sense. So we will not have a semifinal or a wild card. We will go straight from seeding into a 14 finals. Because of that, depending on how time goes, well, actually because we're delayed, we're probably going to stick with the seven matches. So count on 7 matches at this point. If that changes, we will let you know. All right, this is the part that gets complicated, especially for the new teams and especially for some of the new students and new families that are a part of this. The top award that we give is called the Best Award. And the intent of the Best Award is an award that represents the overall performance of the team, okay, in all of the categories. So you will compete in 5 major categories for the Best Award. You will write an engineering notebook. Okay, an engineering notebook documents the work you did. It tells you how you came to the design you came to, and why it's the best. Okay, I do engineering notebooks all the time. I have been in engineering. I have done product design for 35 years. I write technical reports, I write lab reports, I write construction reports, I write all kinds of things. Because if you don't write it down, someone down the road doesn't understand why you did something the way you did it, and they will change it. And they will change it for the bad. So you always want to document your work, and that's what the notebook is. So you will write this notebook and you will submit it on Tuesday before game day. You will do a marketing presentation. So those of us who are engineers, we love to design cool stuff, right? But we can't make any money designing cool stuff if someone doesn't sell it for us, right? So we engineers need the marketing people. We need the people who know how to go out and sell stuff, okay? So you're going to put together a marketing presentation, and you're going to try to sell your robot to a panel of judges. If you're going to be a successful company, you got to be able to showcase yourself. You got to be able to tell the world who you are. That's your team exhibit. That team exhibit is set up and is in the arena during game day. We also, because we like this to be a real game and exciting, you are judged on your spirit and sportsmanship. Okay, so we want you to come and have a great time, make lots of noise, and let's get that arena rocking. And then finally, the robot performance. Okay, so these are 5 individual competitions, and how you do in each of those 5 will determine where you place in the overall Best Award. But because these are 5 individual competitions, we actually give a first place award for each of the individual competitions. A first place notebook, first place marketing, first place exhibit, and first place spirit and sportsmanship, right? That's confusing sometimes for some new teams. So in addition to the core competitions for the Best Award, we have some other awards and challenges that are available. These are optional, okay? Actually, the Best Award is optional with the exception of the notebook. But we encourage every team to participate in all aspects of the Best Award. The notebook is required, but the rest of the Best Award is in fact optional. These are more optional. If you want to do a web page, and if you want to do a video, there's information out there about those. If you want to do either of those, you can submit to those design challenges. We have 6 team awards, okay? If you're participating in the team exhibit, as part of the team exhibit competition, we know, because that is both team exhibit and interview, the students are interviewed, we also give an award just for the exhibit itself, a first place award for the exhibit itself. That's separate from the team exhibit and interview award. The best middle school team is the team who has improved the most in their best award score from last year. The most improved veteran team is any returning team, and the team that improved their best award the most. And then if you bring your school mascot, or if you have a separate team mascot, if you've done team costume or team t-shirt, we will judge you in those as well. And then, of course, there's the robot competition itself. When I mentioned that earlier, there's first through fourth place on that. Teacher and mentor awards. Students, your teachers, your mentors are all volunteers. And they are doing this to help you be successful. Successful in this program, successful in school, and successful in life. All right? We want to show our appreciation to them. Please tell us what a great job they're doing. Okay? We do want one nomination, though, per team. One teacher and one mentor. One year, several years ago, I got 35 different write-ups for one teacher. It's a lot for us to read, okay? So coordinate, please, but please submit a nomination for your teacher and tell us why your teacher is, in fact, the best teacher of all, and one of your mentors, why that mentor is one of the best mentors of all as well, all right? We have a regional championship. It's called South Best. The top performing teams from Music City Best will advance to South Best. As you saw earlier, we had 6 teams advance. That's highly unusual to have that many teams advance. We usually only have about 2 or 3, okay? And the ones that advance are typically are always the winner of the Best Award and the winner of the robot competition. If we can do more than that, then it continues on down Best Award robot competition. But the winners here will move on to South Best for a regional competition, and as we mentioned, it's being held in Huntsville, Alabama, at Alabama A&M University. All right, talked a lot about this last year. I won't get up on that soapbox too much, but this is a student program, okay? Students, we expect you to be the ones to run your team with guidance and mentoring and coaching and help from your teachers and mentors. But we expect this to be your program, your team. We expect you to design and build every part. Now, that's not to say that your mentors can't help you. There are a lot of ways that adults can help you come up with the ideas and figure out how you want to do your design, but these need to be your designs. Now, in today's world, there's a lot of CNC, there's a lot of computer-controlled machinery out there. If someone takes you, teaches you how to program a machine, you program the part on the machine, you run the machine and make a CNC cut part, it's your part, okay? However, if dad comes home from work or mom comes home from work with that part already made, it's not your part, all right? So it's important that this be a student-run, student-led program. And one of the things that we've noticed in years past, it was a lot better last year. In years past, we've seen a lot of adults building the exhibit on Friday night, Saturday morning. Okay? We expect to see the students building the exhibit because we figure if they designed it, they can construct it. All right? We may even throughout the competition ask students specific questions about the robot. Tell us about this part. Tell us about that part. Bear in mind, we do not expect every student to know everything about the robot. So if we ask you, well, tell me about this part. How was it made? And if you know nothing about it, you simply say, I don't know anything about it. But here, let me take you over to this person over here who does know something about it. All right? And we also understand that there can be some confusion. I told the story last year. I'll tell it real quick again this year. I was at South Best a number of years ago, and I had one of the head judges come to me and say, we have a problem with one of your teams. We think the adults are doing too much of the work on the robot. I said, why do you think that? They said, well, they've got this piece of plastic that's been softened with heat and reformed. Okay? When we asked one of the students, how did you do that? She said, we heated it with a hair dryer and we reformed it. And he looked at me and said, you know a hair dryer can't get that hot. I said, really? I said, what does a heat gun look like? Well, it looks like a hair dryer to a middle school, to a middle school student, right? And that's what had happened. They had used a heat gun to heat the part and reform it. She thought it was a hair dryer. Made perfect sense. We will not trap you in those kind of things, okay? So when we ask you about the robot, tell us what you know. Tell us how it was made. We want to know, but we also will use that to help assess that, in fact, it is a student design and student built robot. The best registry, everybody needs to be in the registry. Every student needs to be in the registry. I will mention now, out of our 8 teams, 4 of them only have teachers on their team. I have no students on some of the teams. So teachers, please get your students signed up on the registry as quickly as possible. We've assigned numbers to you. Parents and guardians are the ones that have to sign up students. Teachers, you cannot sign up your student. Their parents and guardians need to do that. And as part of that sign up, there is a liability release. Team Workflow. Team Workflow has been our way of communicating with you. We will put documents out there for you to download. We will put sign-ups out there for things like practice times, marketing presentations, and so forth. You'll submit driver's lists with Workflow. It is our way of trying to communicate and transfer information without having to do a lot of email and email attachments. We do have a Music City Best website. We have a Music City Best website, we have a YouTube channel, and we have an Instagram account. Best logos, tags, and website. There are some rules regarding the best logo. We ask you to know those rules as you use them, and please do be careful about how they use them. And when you do social media, we ask that you use the hashtag and the tag for Best Revise. Okay. There's a lot of documents out there. They are all available to you through Team Workflow beginning at about noon today, I think is the way it works. Okay? The documentation are the rules. If you ask us a question, we will give you our best interpretation of what the documentation says. But if in the end there is a determination that the documentation really meant something else, the documentation overrides anything we've said. We will try to be very careful about what we tell you, and we will tell you when we're not sure, okay? But please know that if it becomes any kind of question, what's in the documents is the final rule. But the final rule is the Q&A. Every team must have somebody that monitors the Q&A. While it is not intended to change any rules, Q&A is only intended to clarify rules. Sometimes there is the unintended consequence that the rule gets changed. I have seen that in years past. And it usually is unintentional, but once it hits the Q&A, it's fixed. And a rule has changed. Okay? So, assign at least one person on your team to monitor the Q&A and keep up with the clarifications and the rule changes. If we see a rule change, we will try to highlight that to you, but it's very important that you keep up with the Q&A as well because it is the final authority. I will tell you, when I am at South's Best and I am trying to mediate disputes between the referees and the students, it nearly always comes down to something in a Q&A. So the rest of our morning, we will have a video in just a moment that will. It's an animation of the game. Clayton Rowe, our head referee, will come up. He has a presentation where he will walk you through the game. It is a very high-level presentation of the game. You're not going to see anything about specific rules, which you can and cannot do. You will not see anything about scoring. There's much too much in there to keep you in here to talk about it. It's a very high level, just give you a sense of what the game is. As we finish, we will turn the house lights up. We will give you a chance to ask us some questions. We'll allow about 15 or 20 minutes to do that. When that is over, we will leave from here. We will go to Fields Engineering Center. You'll get a chance to see the game field and pick up your kits. The space where the game field is located is a little small, okay? We may have to do a little crowd control at the door. So if it gets too crowded inside, we may ask some people to wait outside and cycle people through. But there will be plenty of time for everybody to see the game field, and we will not cut anybody off. We will have plenty of opportunity. Bluegrass team, I think, is here. I need to, when this is all over, before you head over there, I need to see you to talk a little bit about our logistics for that. The other new team, we've talked about that already, and everybody else is pretty experienced in knowing how we do the game field experience and picking up kits. But I'll catch up to the Bluegrass team as we wrap this up at the end of the Q&A. So I'm going to turn it over to Clayton Rowe to tell you about the game.
should be able to cue the video. The video did so much better than me. You won't need me after that.
This time with the intent to stay. Best Robotics has been tasked with developing robots for this mission, and you've been selected to send your robot to the moon. Your mission? Perform critical exploratory tasks and prepare the way for future human habitation. Your robot must withstand the harsh low-gravity environment of the lunar surface and complete specific tasks designed to test its capabilities. 4 teams will compete at a time to determine which robot is best suited for this monumental challenge. Your lander has touched down near the Central Basin Crater, a potential site for mining and construction. Alongside other teams, you'll work to construct the Hoberman habitat site within the crater. The world is counting on you to help make a multi-planetary civilization a reality. This year's challenge consists of a series of tasks your robot must complete on the lunar surface, where gravity plays a critical role. Before each match, teams will select one of 3 terrain settings, each offering increasing difficulty. The chosen terrain will multiply the points earned for each completed lunar task. Robots start on their lunar lander platform. Bonus points are awarded if your robot can safely carry an astronaut for the entire 3-minute match. There are 5 primary tasks to perform on the lunar surface between the lunar lander and the Central Basin Crater. Surface mining. Collect moon rocks from the surface and transport them back to the processing tray on your lunar lander. Core mining. Extract core samples from the lunar surface and return them to the processing tray on the lunar lander. Solar power station. Reposition the solar array to maximize exposure to the sun. Wipe moon dust away from the array using the built-in wiper blade. Robot battery replacement. Boost your robot's power by removing the battery from the solar power station and attaching it to your robot. Ensure the battery is fully supported by your robot at the end of the match to score points. Radio antenna repair. A collapsed radio antenna must be raised by pushing the button on its base, re-establishing communication between the lunar lander and the central crater. This allows the spotter to move freely between the 2 locations. Lunar surface tasks are exclusive to the team at the adjacent lunar lander. However, any moon rocks or core samples lost on the crater floor become available for all teams to collect. The Central Basin Crater is home to the Hoberman habitat site, still under construction from previous missions. Tasks in the crater are both team-specific and cooperative. Each team has the opportunity to retrieve a habitat power cable from the permanently shaded regions and connect it to the habitat site. The challenge? Limited visibility and maneuverability in these regions. Teams may opt for autonomous power cable retrieval for a higher score, starting and ending outside the shaded region. In the semi-final and final phases, a monolith obstacle will block the power cable. Teams must move the monolith to proceed. Construction of the Hoberman habitat site is a cooperative effort. Teams load habitat modules at the lunar lander and transport them to the central crater. The modules are stacked up to 3 levels, with bonus points awarded to all teams involved in constructing a habitat stack. The Hoberman sphere is the centerpiece of the habitat. The first team to fully expand the sphere by engaging their release lever will earn additional bonus points. Before time runs out, your robot can gain recharge points by collecting the robot power cable at the solar power station. The connector must be on the robot or in its grasp by the end of the match. Finally, gain self-preservation points by returning to the robot start area on the lunar lander before the clock hits 0. Get ready to push the limits of robotics and compete for victory. in the Ultimate Lunar Challenge. The moon awaits.
Okay, yeah, this game this year looks really exciting, and really excited to see what you guys come up with to be able to handle this new environment. So I'm going to go through the game. The video does a great job, but I want you guys to understand in a little more detail what each task means. So this theme this year is that we're preparing to return to the moon. This time we're intending to stay, and the robots are going to be sent there to perform exploratory tasks, prepare for the future of habitation by humans. So your robot must withstand the unique, harsh, low-gravity environment. The objectives this year is to build and design a robot that are capable of traveling to the lunar terrain and performing the following tasks: surface mining, subterranean mining, which are the core samples, radio antenna repair, solar panel maintenance, so you'll change the orientation, clean it, the robot battery replenishment and charging, power distribution for the habitat construction, and self-preservation during the lunar night. So we'll go through each of those so you kind of understand what your goal is. Obviously in the game there's a driver who's going to control the robot while standing in the driver area, and then there's a spotter who's going to be able to help watch the game field, provide direction to the driver, designate designated areas outside the lander. Once we have radio communication reestablished, that area can expand for the spotter, and then the spotter also will be helping by loading designated game pieces onto the robot. Here's a layout of the game field. So just the key areas to focus on: the lunar surface, that's where you'll be starting, and then the Hoberman habitat there in the center of the field where all teams can access. That's inside the central base. So yeah, as I said, each of these areas are team specific. So the red, green, yellow, blue team are limited, or are the only teams allowed to access the lunar surface area. That's delegated to their team. But the central basin is available to everybody. The robot will start on the lunar lander platform at the edge of the lunar surface area and form on the team landing site. They'll traverse the terrain to reach the central basin to accomplish the various tasks. On the left there you can see the driver area at the end of the platform, and then along the side is where the spotter will be, and you can see how the expanded spotter area will go over that whole side if the antenna is repaired. In the middle there's a permanently shaded region, so that's an area that you won't be able to see from the driver's box, which is why the spotter may need to assist, or as we'll explain later, some autonomous robotic driving may be necessary. On the lunar landing platform, I want to call your attention to the specific details of this area. So first, the robot joystick is going to be placed on the hands-free platform. I think most of you who've played before are familiar with this autonomous mode, and that hands-free platform is necessary during that portion, but also anytime the spotter interacts with the robot. Then there is the driver station compartment, which is for the gizmo connections. That's something that'll be new for us. The mineral processing tray is where you'll learn that some of the mined samples and moon rocks can go for further processing. And then the astronaut will be placed underneath the platform that can be loaded onto the robot at the start of the match. Then there's also the 3 habitat modules under the platform that you'll be able to load onto the robot to transport to the Hoberman site. Looking at the lunar surface, so the surface can be adjusted to 3 configurations: hard, moderate, and easy. And the teams can choose their starting point to determine how much value you can get for the certain tasks that you're going to accomplish in this terrain. So essentially, you'll receive a multiplier depending on which level you select, and how you select, adjust basically how much contour the terrain will have. You can see the locations of the moon rocks that will be on the lunar surface. And then on the edge, you can see there's 4 mining samples and the radio antenna on one side, while on the other side, you have the solar panel power station. So, we'll talk about some of the game pieces next so you can see what they look like and understand their purpose. The astronaut is located under, and under the platform in the robot start box, he can be placed at the beginning of the match to ride, but only when the robot is in the starting box. Next, the rocks and core samples. So the lunar surface terrain is littered with these moon rocks. The color of the rock is not relevant, so they're not team specific. These 5.5-inch squishy balls are the moon rocks you'll be collecting to do some mineral analysis. And then the core samples will be 3 different lengths of foam pipe insulation that the lander can return to the processing tray for analysis. The radio antenna is collapsed at the beginning of the match, and if it's returned to its full upright position by pushing the arrow, it releases a counterweight, and that reestablishes communication between the lander and the crater. So as you move into the crater, this allows your spotter to expand his area and be able to guide the driver in places where they can't see. Solar array panel. It's collected dust and dirt from being on the lunar surface, and since it was removed, since the last mission, we need to remove that debris and adjust the angle for the maximum solar exposure. So that's where we'll be able to tilt the panel and wipe it clean with a wiper blade. Then there's also a battery that you can remove to place on your robot to charge for further charging, and a robot charging cable that you may need to attach to support the self-preservation at the end of the match. So zooming in within the central basin crater, this area is shared by all teams. In the middle is the Hoberman habitat construction. There's the area for the module assemblies, and cable connections were made in this area. You can see called out the boundary of what is called the permanently shaded region. So this is a region that the driver will not be able to see when you're performing the task. So when we discuss the autonomous, keep this permanently shaded region in mind. You can see that the power receptacles are color-coded, so those are team-specific. And then the Hoberman habitat site, as explained in the video, the first team there will be able to deploy. But on each team, there's a specific area that you can push to deploy the sphere. So the Hoberman sphere construction is deployed by pushing those release plungers inward. As I said, only the first robot will be able to, if they fully engage the plunger, to deploy the sphere and the point. So there's some benefits to getting to this area first. Building the habitat modules, you transfer these from the starting area into the habitat area, and you see the area of construction right next to the sphere there. These are open to any team, and as you can see, there's even some incentive to having multiple colors on one, so working together and can provide some bonus to each team involved. And then the habitat power cable is a braided rope with a tennis ball. You attach this power cable, the robot will collect this, and then attach it to the receptacle close to the Hoberman sphere. So the autonomous procedure, it can be, first of all, the cable can be gathered without using autonomous, but in order to get some additional points, you can choose to do it autonomously. So the cable would be retrieved in the permanently shaded region of the lunar surface. Because you can't see, this autonomous mode is necessary if the spotter especially can't see. But the driver is going to be able to retrieve, the cable can be retrieved by the driver with the spotter providing direction, or the robot can retrieve it using autonomous. The extra points are provided. So you guys will read in the rules the details of autonomous. Many of you are familiar, but a challenge for sure to get this portion completed. Okay, self-preservation. So obviously the conditions on the moon are quite different than here. So it's mentioned that we need to preserve the robot's integrity at night, and we do so by returning the robot to the robot's start box before the end of the match. So just keep that in mind as you're accomplishing things and watching the time at the end of the match. There's a benefit to getting the robot back to the start box. So as we said, a very high level version of the rules. I encourage you all to read them in depth and use the Q&A to understand what the official rulings are. As we review the game field, if you have some high level questions, please ask me. I've obviously read through the rules, but typically we'll find that in the Q&A it becomes much more clear when there's any confusion. So please rely on that as your first source of information, but I want to be a resource to you as well, so any questions you have.
So, we'll raise the house lights so we can see you. We will take, see what time it is, a few minutes before 10, we'll take about 15 minutes. And what we will do is, if you have questions about anything that we've talked about today, whether it's the game, whether it's about any of the other awards, about how we do things, what we will do is
sure you can
we'll
take
call
them.
on you. If you'll
I can't.
speak loudly so we can hear it, we will then repeat your questions so everybody knows it, and
Okay.
we'll do the best we can to answer. All right? So, like I said, we'll take about 10 or 15 minutes. Does anybody have anything you want to start with? Okay. Okay, well, if you're up close, you get to use the microphone yourself.
So it's mentioned that the 4 quadrants have a configurable difficulty. Is the like terrain configuration, is it consistent for all the difficulties? Like if you choose hard on the 4 quadrants, is the terrain the same?
Yeah, good question. So it's technically mirrored, so 2 quadrants would be identical and the other 2 would be identical, but they are the same, just opposite, depending on which quadrant you happen to be on.
In the back, the very back, go ahead.
I think his question was really about from one round to the next round. If someone has a level 1 difficulty, is it easily replicated in round 2 versus round 3 and so forth?
Yeah,
etc.?
yeah, good point. So the question is the difficulty rating of each field consistent between rounds? So if I say I want to do easy this round and I came back to that field, would easy be the same the next time? And the answer is yes. So there are fixed attachment points so that every time you choose easy, assuming you're on this quadrant, it's going to be exactly the same as the time before.
So to help you get a good visual on that, basically what we do is we raise and lower the edge of the target. Okay, and as you said, there are discrete fixed places. So easy is this one, hard is this one. So good question, but it is made as consistently as we can from quadrant to quadrant and from match to match. Got some questions on you?
So before the beginning of each round, do you get to choose as a driver which setting you want to do?
Yeah, so the question, what do you get at the beginning of the round, do you get to choose which setup? Yes, you choose the setup for that round, which one you want. So you can, if you go more difficult to get more points, it's up to you if you're going to do that.
When will scoring for the different moves be released?
So scoring will be
Yeah,
released.
I do scoring. So what happens at the logistics, that's a good question. The logistics are that when a match ends, the robots stop and the driver and the spotter wait. Okay, you don't go out in the field to get your robot, you wait. The referees, these games are always designed so that the scoring is done at the end of the match, where things happened at the end of the match. And so they will go through and they have a checklist and they will identify where you have scored points. The driver will look at that list, and if there's any disagreement, they can discuss that with the referee and try to get that worked out. Once that's worked out, the driver will sign the list acknowledging that this list represents what was scored, okay? If you're a driver, and if you have a disagreement about what's on the list, you can not sign the list. However, you need to be ready for us to come talk to you, because we need to try to reconcile that. I will tell you, in all the years we've done this, we've never had that problem. Because what will happen is the referee in your area, even when you work with, if there's a disagreement, your head referee will show up and try to work it out. And in the event that there's still trouble there, one of your hub directors will show up as well. We try to work it out right there in the game field, all right? But you'll sign the score sheet. The score sheet goes down to our scorekeepers. And they will
I read Dr. Morello's email and just saw
as soon as the
8:30, got
data
it.
is loaded and they say, they click done, it will show up on the leaderboard. You'll be able to see it on the leaderboard. And we will have a screen that will be constantly scrolling scores. And so you'll see the updates on the screen. So I can't say it's going to be 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but everything does happen in sequence, and the next step always happens as soon as the previous one is done.
Will we be doing the engineering drawing challenge again this year?
We actually were going to withdraw that. We don't get much interest in it. Are you guys interested in doing it? Yeah. It'll be there. I think last year, I don't remember, did you guys submit last year? Okay, then I forgot. My recollection was we had no submissions last year. It was just a decision. We didn't think we had any participation. We will include the drawings challenge as well. And so what the drawings challenge is, and it's all out there in the information you have, but you submit a drawing package, your engineering drawing package, and it's judged along with the drawing packages from the other teams. We'll include it. Thank you. Looks like you guys are just excited to go see the field, right? All right. Okay, so to wrap up here, again, I need to see the bluegrass team. For everyone else,
I've recorded everything.
Here are the logistics. When
No
you show up
worries.
at Fields Engineering Center, like I said, we're have to do a little crowd control at the entrance door. Okay, so please understand. Every team has two field passes. Okay, the field pass. Any two members of your team can have the field pass, and they can go onto the field. Now, please don't walk on the tarps. They won't support you. If you go into the middle of the field, you can touch, you can feel, you can measure, you can see how things work. It's your chance to get up close and personal. The field is too small for us to just let everybody do that. It's not the same two people from the team. Two members can go on, they can spend 5 or 10 minutes there, they can come off, hand their passes to two other members of the team, and they can come on. Everyone else can stand around the perimeter. And I'm telling you, the edge of the field is right here, and you're standing at the perimeter. Because of that, because we don't have stanchions or anything like that, please refrain from reaching out and handling the field if you're on the perimeter. We want you to look and see as much as you can, as much as you want. We just don't want to have to repair the field after today in preparation for game day. So please kind of help us and let's keep the field in good shape. If we do get a little crowded, as you're finishing up in the lobby, please go ahead and exit so that other people can come in. But we are set up and we are here until everybody is done. We will not cut anybody off. You'll pick up your kids also from fields. Dr. Rojas and I, and are we good over? Okay, so the three of us will be there. We're available for any questions, any conversations you want to have. And we look forward to seeing you over at Fields Engineering Center. Thank you very much for being here. I had a great time this morning with you. Wait a minute, there's always one more thing. Oh, I'm sorry. So what's set up is 2 quadrants. Okay? What you're going to see is 2 quadrants and the Hoberman sphere. All right? So it's not all 4 quadrants. There is going to be 2 quadrants.
Something you missed. This
Okay,
field
now,
is very
it's been
long.
great being with you this morning. Go have fun.